Final presentation of BSides 2023, and the honour goes to Omkar Joshi.
Thank you. I guess I'm hearing my noise. Can you guys hear me? Perfect. Cool. So, my topic is all about, of course, the offensive approach followed by the defensive approach, of course. And it was our recent red team engagement which we did in one of the country's electricity board. And this is all about that research, the 0 days which we have found, and we got intruded into the power system center. And you know that very well what will happen if we are into the substations and electricity board, and you can shut down the systems, you can shut down the station, you can shut down the electricity itself. With that note, I'll not take much time, and let's dive into the agenda. What I'm going to cover is the simple, of course, introduction, who I am, that is authentication, of course, and architecture, what exactly the architecture we were going through, and what are the challenges we faced and how we tackled it. The next part is how we did this approach, how we intruded into the environment, and how we got into the specific segregated environment, and then do a bunch of things. And you followed by the defensive, how we can follow the best security practices, and what will be the defense in depth and zero trust strategy. Cool. So this is about me. I'm just a passionate learner. I like to learn. With this 10 years of experience, I'm still learning. I'll be still learning always. And I haven't listed my certifications because there are many certifications, so I don't like to list it. But yeah, just a learning guy, quick noob guy. And I work with the Coupa Software, which is a product management company, as a lead security engineer, offensive security. And I'm a freelancing consultant for CyberArch Consulting, which is in Europe, which is specialized in the security services. So this basically entire red team project was me and the CyberArch Consulting together. We did it in the recently in February 2023. Okay, so in the afternoon, one of the gentlemen already explained how we can attack the PLCs and all that stuff. So the traditional, when we talk about the traditional substations, traditional electricity environment and everything, we do have a lot of people who have access to the different machines or different PLC, or we can say the contractors or whoever is a employee. If there is an issue, they have to troubleshoot. They go to the specific safe zone, or which is a restricted zone, and they connect their computers and they troubleshoot the stuff. So now the product this is all about the product which simplifies this. So when we talk about the product, there is a power system center. So the power system center is basically allow you to manage all these Scada devices, all this electricity grid systems and many systems centralized. And basically it gives you visualization, remote access and everything with the segregated and zero trust strategy. So this basically is one of the security layer. Like instead of giving all people or whoever is the authorized people to access, go inside the specific zone and connect the computers, this product will allow you can remotely have control of all devices, and you can do many stuff, manage the device, reset the password, troubleshoot the device, many things. So this is the architecture, and you can see there is a power system center and the power system substation server and centers. So these basically architecture wise, if you look at these are the inside the environment. Nobody has access to, of course, the environment, because this is segregated, and only the authorized persons via SSO will be having access to these substations, servers, substations, clients, and the entire the power system center itself. So now, how we got into that, basically. So the funny thing is, of course, whenever I do a red team engagement, it's always I'm not saying I laugh, but it's a funny part, you basically trick the people easily. That's what we have done is. So if you look at the red team engagement, so this is how the thing works before the power system center. So ideally the traditional approach was attackers were directly intruding into the environment if you don't have the power system center. When the power system center came into picture, you have the dedicated access provided via power system center to the devices or to the end, whatever the OT devices, Scada devices, but you cannot access directly devices with the first, you can see the diagram. But here is the problem. The second diagram is to segregate the things and secure your devices from the unauthorized entities. Still, how we have intruded into that and we were able to access lot many stuff with the different approach. That I'm going to just tell you how are the approaches, what we have done it, how we found different 0 days in the product itself, which will lead to entire power station control in our hand. So there are different attack vectors, and I hope you are aware about the MITRE attack framework. Are you aware about? I can't hear anyone. Yes. So that is one of the best framework which I have ever seen so far, because we have a lot of people who do the pen test, which is traditional, we call it as. So when we talk about MITRE attack framework, it has a stage-wise dedicated approach for the TTPs. Tactics are there, techniques are there. So we have utilized different tactics to enter into the specific zone and perform the malicious activities. So what we did is we simple as its MITM approach, man in the middle attack. So what we have, of course, whoever into offensive security must have known the responder or MITM6. A lot of their MITM products are available. So there is I'll just give you an example. There is an organization, XYZ organization, who deals with the nation's electricity. They have this product in there, and the problem is we were into the environment, but the problem was we were having access to only the specific limited systems. We don't have access to any of the OT devices or any of the electricity or substation devices. So what we did is simply we ran the MITM, man in the middle attack, to capture whether we can have any kind of hashes which is passing through the different approaches, like WPAD or there is LLMNR or NBT stat or maybe SMBs. So this is one of the approach which we started with to gain the credentials, or whether we can get the credentials. We got the credentials, we impersonated specific user. So the user, there was again different difficulty in accessing. I will tell you further. So we got the hashes. Of course, hashes are not pretty easy to crack, but yeah, there is an organization password policy. So the password was of course complex, but was in the dictionary. So we were able to crack the hashes within a 3 to 4 hours span of time, and we got to know that the user has this very limited access to the environment. So we started with the scanning the environment, what are the inside the specific architecture, whether any available host are whether we can attack any environment, or whether we can go into the environment where is the actual this is substations and everything are there, or Scada devices. When we got into that, we got to know that there is a one product which is a power system center, substation server, and substation client. These are the different products are running on the port 80. That is a strange thing. So that was, although isolated zone, but we were able to reach to the port 80 with the specific user which we have impersonated, and that has again the limited access. So the product is all about having so there are two things. One is the impersonating user but the user is having a SSO user has a specific, access to specific environment. The second thing is the product role. What kind of role the user which I have impersonated has. The user has the role of read-only permissions. There are no other user roles allocated to the specific user. So then we try to, escalate the privileges, whether we can escalate the privileges and we can, access specific things into the Power System Center, whether we can manipulate the devices, whether we can troubleshoot the devices or do the lot many stuff. And believe me, there was the journey of finding the 0 days in the product. So we started finding the 0 days. Of course, I am not right now telling you the product or vendor, because that we have already contacted and we are yet to receive the CVs and public disclosure. So, but the product itself has a compatibility with the almost multiple Scada vendors, like, you can name it anywhere, like Siemens, Hendrik, ABB. So they have compatibility everything. So what we did is basically, these are the actual screenshots and redacted the data. So we have done the MITM with the responder, and we got the, SMB share, tricking the user into the SMB share so that he can just mistype the things and you get the hashes. That's what we got, the hashes of the one of the user from the man in the middle attack, which we have performed. And then when we, access the specific environment, we cracked the hashes, we got come to know that this is the user. There is a specific domain user, of course. So we logged in with that credentials, and we have dropped our obfuscated malicious payload. One of the great fellow in the morning, he has already explained about the AMSR bypass and everything. How do you bypass the defenders? And fortunately, they were having also defender, but they were not having much more, kind of proactive IPS controls. It was detecting, but not much. So we were able to, get the reverse shell with the obfuscated payload which we have created with the simple, of course it was EXE, but we have created obfuscated payload. We tried with the multiple payloads by creating a simple things, but it was detecting, the defender was up to date, it was detecting things, but then we able to get this reverse shell on our system with the system 32 privileges. That was a quick one. And when we actually scan the environment, we came to know that there is a Power System Center which is running on the port 80, and this is the IP address. Of course, we got to know with the subnet scanning that this is IP size live. Then we ran the nmap scan, simple nmap scan, and we got to know this is the Power System Center, and the Power System Center does not have the normal username and password authentication. It has the domain authentication. It is through the domain credentials. So then we realized that whoever is the user we had has the only permission of the read only. You can see the permissions over there. So we were not able to access even though one of the feature which are the crucial, which our aim was to actually target. So we were not able to access anything. And then we realized what we can do is we started with the next action is the fuzzing. Of course, one of the great speaker already mentioned about the fuzzing. So we targeted about the different endpoints. So whether we can access the endpoints or whether it's simple, like you can go first the directories or first the endpoints pretty easily. And one of my favorite tool is BSidesBUD. Of course, the BSidesBUD Enterprise or BSidesBUD Professional Enterprise is, of course, it's different one, but Professional is the one which I have used, of course, for the specific endpoints collection with the different scope. So then what I realized is this is one of the device which I was having access, but which was only read only. I was not able to even edit the device. I was not able to modify the contents. So basically, if I give you a background on the product will allow you to remotely control the device itself. whatever the devices you have in the specific power station, you can remotely control through this power system center. You can troubleshoot the device. You can basically reset the password. You can enforce the password policy. So lot many things you can do using this power system center. And I was not having access to that because of the read-only role. Then I have captured the different these are the endpoints, and then I come to know that whether I can do the privilege escalation or not with read-only. Then you can see the result. So there was a devices which has every information was hidden into that. Like the read-only user cannot see the data of the specific devices, like what are the IPs, what is the port number. Of course, to remotely control the device, you should be able to have the IP address or host name and the port number to connect to that. So we were not able to reveal the read-only, but I was able to do the privilege escalation and access the IP address and the port information. With that, I was able to connect to the specific device directly with the read-only user, and that was our first finding which we had. And then we were able to go ahead and further modify the data of the device, restart the device, so we reset the device. Lot many things, the options we were able to perform using this different privilege escalation issues. So the issue was actually present in the product itself. So we were not actually targeting the PLCs or the smart grid stations or the OT devices. There were no any issues with the OT device. The issue was with the product which was allowing us to connect to the OT device, and the product itself was completely vulnerable. We call them as a DVWA. I hope you have heard about DVWA, the damn vulnerable machine. We call them as one of the DVWA in our recent red team engagement. And we were able to entirely modify the station templates. I hope you have heard about stations, substations in the electricity or in the power station. We have different areas, right, where we call it as a substations. So let's say suppose in Hungary we have a Budapest area. So in Budapest is one of the substation. So we were able to access the specific substation, and literally they have created a sample log for us, and we have literally shut down the entire power system or power of the specific substation using this vulnerability. And that was the one of the thing which we have successfully delivered it. And you can see that there are multiple other functionalities which we were not having access, like work order or impersonation of the user. So we were able to impersonate the users as well. Let's take example, as a Omkar, I was a read-only user and the XYZ person is having a higher access. So we were able to perform the actions on behalf of XYZ. So the logs will show the XYZ has done this action, not Omkar. That was one of the tricky thing which we also found in this red team engagement. So you can see that as well. So what we did is we basically created an activity record at the critical alarm, and that was created by the user me, but you can see it is executed by also a different admin. So, and we actually then cross-verified with the SOC team and everybody, because it was a kind of blue team and red team simulation, and that was actually executed by admin, not by Omkar. So this was successful attack which we have also done, and there were no traces of whether Omkar has done or admin has done. So this is mainly how we have targeted the environment, and then how we have got into that, and simple misconfiguration. The main thing is which I wanted to focus on here is although you have a segregated environment, but there are chances also you can get the access through a simple tunnel, I would say. This is one of the tunnel itself. Like through the product, we were able to access the entire power station, substations and devices. So we should not limit ourselves, okay, we were not able to find anything because there is a segregated access, zero trust is already implemented, there is a separate VLAN. No, we can get into that as well with the different routes. And there are of course bunch of other vulnerabilities which we have found with the multiple file upload, cross-site file upload was quite interesting. We were able to upload the malicious files and we have infected the environment itself. So hopefully and fortunately the environment was not production. That's the reason we were able to save our RAS, of course. But yeah, that was the main vulnerabilities which we have found in this during the red team engagement. So with that, the offensive approach, of course, we always think about, okay, we know that this is the issue, how we can tackle or how we can safeguard ourselves. So that's what comes into picture, the attack vectors or attack surface. So the attack surface we all know can be, how we can reduce the attack surface. It can be a physical, it can be a digital, and it can be through the social engineering. You can do many things, right? So when we talk about attack surface, I always talk about what are the possible entry points. In this case, maybe you can do a social engineering with the phishing email, and you can send the fileless specific file. If you're known about fileless malware or fileless execution. So there are my favorite lol bins. Have you heard about lol bin? Living of the land binaries. Yeah. So one more thing is I would like to highlight is recently they have released for the Mac as well. So if you are pretty interested into learning the living of the land binaries, there is a Mac version also. So you can explore the Mac as well. So on OS X you can do that LOL bins attacks as well. So this is the attack surfaces and how you reduce it. That's what the question which the organizations, members and the executive ask us. And it's a simple. What I jotted down in the different four parts. First is you have to identify the gap. What are the existing challenges you have? What are the missing things you have in your environment? That we call it as a gap analysis. In the traditional term or compliance term, gap analysis, we have to first identify where we are lacking and then go ahead with that. Then understand, analyze, exercise yourself. Then of course, that there is a famous term in the security right now is defense in depth. And I hope all are aware about defense in depth. Is a layered approach basically. At each layer you should have the protection in place. Every layer, like it can be network layer, it can be a host protection, it can be application, it can be identity layer protection. So even though these things the organization were having, still some kind of misconfiguration, some kind of tricking the humans, that is the social engineering, like human is the weakest element. This can happen even though you have the defense in depth. So the first thing which I always tell to organization, 100% security cannot be guaranteed, of course. You have to mature, you have to update yourself every day. It's simple. Otherwise you have to lock the doors. That's it. Still there is a possibility of theft. So, and the best practices is all about, as this 0 days or findings were about all for the product, I would definitely say shifting left is always the best approach. So when we talk about shift left is the DevSecOps, of course security in DevOps. Most of the organizations are already adopting this, but we have to have this proactive approach in the life cycle, that we should have this mitigated. Of course, we have bunch of things when we talk about shift left, SAST, DAST, SCA, dependencies. Of course, SCA is all about dependencies and all that third-party libraries. Then what about, this is the technologically we are evolving. We are having the tools integrated. We are having the people are there who runs the tool, who do the integration within the CI/CD, who do the secure coding or run the scanners. But what about people itself? That's what I always call it as a PPT. Do you know the PPT? What does the PPT means? Not about the presentation. Yeah, that's correct. So the PPT is all about the people, process and technology. We have the process implemented, different compliance standard we are added with we have the technology updated, we have the cloud, everywhere is cloud, we are using this technology, we are using next generation XDR, everything. But what about people? That most of the organizations are lacking, right? Awareness trainings, making people aware that, you should be, of course, you have a policies to enforce the people not to have the simple password, but the password, let's consider you have the one simple special character and maybe a number. That is the only policy. Then password @123 will be a common password which can be easily brute forced. So the password policy should be also properly configured so that the people will not have the password which is pretty easily guessable or pretty easily brute forced. So the people process, the people, of course, employee awareness training, the people awareness training, that is what is must always, and regular, if you have any kind of training programs to developers as well. When it comes to the actual product development, this is all about product. So you have everything in place, but what about the secure coding guideline or best practices? We have OWASP standard. It is a baseline actually. We have OWASP, we have SANS, we have different plenty of others. We have the threat modeling frameworks, but still we are getting the issues. We are getting a lot of vulnerabilities in the product itself. Why this is happening? So that is because of we are following the approach, but we are not proactively looking at what are the consequences of, okay, we just do the SAST scan or we just do a DAS scan. What are the consequences of that? It is automated tools. We cannot rely on any kind of automated tool, even though we are living in the 2023, everywhere is automation. But SAST, DAST, anywhere, even do you VS scans and a lot of many things. Whenever it comes to automated tools, it will give you only the things which are there as in the database or signatures or whatever it is. But when it comes to a traditionally manual, when you do a secure code review, or of course it is not possible, but manual efforts when you put into that, like in pen test or red team engagement, that's where you make the people aware that not only automated tools can solve the issues or find the problems. You have to go beyond that. So with that, I believe that's all about my presentation. Do you have any questions?
So do we have any questions, please, for Omkar? No, it would.
No, any questions?
Yeah, we don't at this time.
Are you sure? Or maybe it's leaving time, so yeah. No, any questions?
Okay, in that case, Omkar, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.